Well, it's pretty. It was a fairly grim Christmas on NarniaWeb. We just received the official word now that Voyage of the Dawn Treader has. Well, from the Disney standpoint, they are not going to do Voyage of the Dawn Treader. They've decided they don't want to be involved anymore, probably because they just don't want to try to compete, and they don't feel that the franchise offers that much more. It's pretty grim right now for Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Basically, about on the 13th, we heard from someone who was supposedly was one of the concept artists for the movie Inkheart, and he was doing supposedly on Team for Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and he said. This guy's name is Norman Walsh. He said that, oh yeah, that they pulled the plug on Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and that was on the 13th of December. And I didn't really give it a lot of credibility. I thought, who we probably hear from first probably wouldn't be a concept artist for the film. But anyway, we've now it's official. Voyage of the Dawn Treader is no longer going to be. Uh, Disney's basically said no, we don't want to do it anymore. So it's we heard this officially. It came out on the 24th, Christmas Eve, and I flew in just a couple days ago, back from Oxford, and I didn't want to do this video on Christmas Day, so I'm doing it now. And it's basically we're in the same Voyage of the Dawn Treader is in the same situation that the Lord of the Rings was in, um, roughly 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, when Miramax decided that they didn't want to be involved with Peter Jackson's film anymore. They wanted to do one film, and he wanted to do two Lord of the Rings films, and they said no, you can take it somewhere else. And he found New Line Cinema. That so in a sense, it's not without hope. Walden would still like to make it. The producers and actors still seem like they really want to do it. It's basically just the corporate side of things that fell through, and but it is still very bleak. I mean, it was actually pretty bleak for the Lord of the Rings at that point. So I don't want to give any false senses of security here. What will happen? It would depend on another studio taking up the distribution rights. It would be probably um, it could be someone like Fox. That could be a possibility. It uh, Fox is a possible choice, perhaps the most likely. Um, Warner Brothers came to mind, since they're doing Harry Potter, but they probably don't feel like they need Narnia, and they probably don't want to have Narnia and Harry Potter are seen as sort of competition, and being two children's franchise, but they probably might not want to try to compete against their own audience, but that probably wouldn't be an option. Probably wouldn't be something that would worry them. They just say release them at different times of the year. Harry Potter's strong enough; they could release it in April or March, which are, and it would be a huge blockbuster. So, what will happen? I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm hesitant to make any predictions right now. I am. I think it's very very possible that the Prince Caspian will be the last Narnia film. Part of the problem being that Georgie and Skander are already getting older, and you would want them to be in Voyage of the Dawn Treader. It's just something you would want if it's going to be the sequel to Prince Caspian, and you can't really. This is something that would have to happen. Probably we'd have to hear progress within the next couple of months. Um, New Line Cinema probably would have been able to do it and might have jumped at it if not for the fact that now they've been basically diminished into a small studio once again. But one studio that does come to mind is MGM, since they fought so long to retain rights to The Hobbit, and they may try to jump on. I don't know. It's been I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think right now, I mean, it's been sort of gradual for me because I could sort of see signs looming. I mean, this movie didn't do good. The DVD sales haven't been terrific. Um, I think at this point, personally, I'm thinking it's probably most likely we will not see Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I think that's just the most likely situation. It's uh, it's not like Halo where I think it got kind of pulled and then people said, oh well, maybe it'll get made later. Yeah, a film like that might get made later. They can make it anytime they want. But Voyage of the Dawn Treader, they need the cast. They need Georgie Henley. They need Scanner Keynes. They need Ben Barnes. And I mean, on one level, I was really shocked at this because, I mean, heard, years ago, oh, Prince Caspian's now been greenlit, greenlit. We're going, yeah, it's been greenlit, and they didn't have an actor for Caspian until just a little bit before filming. Um, but here, they had an actor for Eustace, they had a director, we were hearing reports on casting, although um, uh, they weren't necessarily accurate. They weren't necessarily the true casting sources. But still, we were hearing all this stuff, and we got concept art. I didn't even have time to do a video on the concept art. I might still do it just for old time's sake. But on one level, it's something that I think Glenn Puddle and Jim Fan and I were wary of as a definite possibility. With the fact that it did not do well, and the critics seemed to sort of given up on it. And I mean, the first film offered so much promise, and then the second one was sort of a downer, and it wasn't. I think it's really lost a lot of momentum, and being now likely, if it came out, definitely wouldn't come out in May of 2010. It'd most likely be Christmas of 2010 or maybe even later. And at that point, you just kill the momentum for a franchise that it needs. And so that's really all I have to say. At this point, I mean, what we know for sure that Disney doesn't want to do Dawn Treader. We know that it seems to me that from the production side of things, the cast and the director and the producers seem enthusiastic. They still seem like they really want to make it, but you need a distributor. And if Disney won't do it, uh, then someone else, then people might say, "Oh my goodness, if Disney's not willing to take the risk, then why would we do it?" Um, but then it's not hopeless. There is still the possibility that you could have someone like, I mean, I'm thinking about years ago when New Line Cinema, this little tiny studio, took on The Lord of the Rings, made a huge gamble, and it paid off well for them. Someone might be willing to gamble again and trust that Voyage of the Dawn Treader could be made well enough to sort of restore the series and give it back its momentum. Um, so yeah, it's very sad. I was really, frankly, it's my favorite book, and I was really, really wanting to have Voyage of the Dawn Treader at least sort of get a trilogy, because I think that the Chronicles of Narnia work sort of well as a trilogy with those first three books, and I really wanted to have that because I thought those three kind of encapsulate a lot of Narnia, especially Voyage of the Dawn Treader and Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Those two are really, I thought, those are some of the top ones that they would have to do. And so now that may not happen. I'm still gonna try to. As for the video blog, I'll record stuff as stuff comes out, and as maybe perhaps as we hear word on one thing or another. So I'm not without hope. I am trying to be realistic, but sometimes I don't know if my realism lends to my attempts to be realistic lead to unrealistic pessimism or unrealistic optimism. I'm not really sure. So anyway, that's all for now, and hopefully I'll do another video soon. Hopefully we'll hear word. So until then, this is Rillian signing off, and with or without the movies, we have the books, and further up and further in.